Welcome to Discussing Dad Life, where we break down bullshit so you don't have to. I'm Void, this is No, and let's go. Hi, guys. Monday Madness here. I'm just kidding. We wanted to talk about...
Hold on.
What?
Main Event Mondays.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm tired.
Got to call it in.
Over and out. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but the illegal immigrant town called Colony Ridge. You hadn't heard about it, or had you?
I had.
You had?
Yeah, Daily Wire had an article that popped up on my phone.
Apparently, it's getting bad down there.
Yeah, so the article that I popped up on my phone was what's his nugget from Florida?
What's his nugget?
I can't remember his name now.
Matt Gaetz?
No, the governor. DeSantis.
DeSantis.
I guess he had done a reaction to Daily Wire's like drone footage and stuff that they had done. So, So I read a little bit about it, but we're gonna go through.
Yeah, we're gonna dive in deep.
So, you want to just get started on that?
Yeah, sure. All right.
Well, hold on. He needs to switch over.
Oh. Switch it. Now switch it up.
You good now? Looks like it.
All righty. So, Colony Ridge illegal immigrant town springs up in Texas as local developer sells border crossers property without asking them for documentation, with 4 cartels now operating there. A Texas developer has been accused of creating a sprawling illegal migrant town by selling off land to border crossers without asking for any paperwork. William Trey Harris sells plots of Colony Ridge by allowing buyers to purchase land without the need to prove income or credit, it is alleged. Critics say the scheme around 20 miles northeast of downtown Houston has drawn in thousands of illegal migrants as well as cartel activity. Where are we? Meanwhile, migrant encounters in July were up 26.9% compared to June, which experts have linked to the settlement's expansion. Senior National Security fellow Todd Bensman claimed Harris has been selling off plots direct to a borrowers for a few $100s without conducting any background checks. DailyMail.com has contacted Harris' lawyer for a comment. He said heinous allegations had been made against the developer, but has yet to clarify further.
So,
thoughts?
Well, the framing's interesting. And the reason I point that out is because I don't think it's illegal to sell land without doing background checks or loans or anything. Because you can go and pay cash and buy stuff.
Yes.
So I'm not 100% sure why they're trying to frame it as this potentially something illegal.
Allowed? Huh? Oh yeah, no, you're right.
I mean? So I'm just a little taken aback as to what they're trying to do with the framing.
The title made it sound like it was like way worse.
Yeah.
And then you read that little bit.
Well, so there is. I think what they're trying to do is connect the fact that there's cartels operating on U.S. soil. And the reason why they're operating is because there's no background check being done. And I'm not 100. As far as I know, there's no law that prevents foreign entities from owning land with having to go through a background check or anything like that. I mean, half the farms in America, it seems like these days, are owned by Chinese billionaires.
That's true.
So, I'm just failing to see the connection here.
I don't know. Is there any more of the article? Let's see.
Part 1. Welcome to the largest. Oh yeah, so this looks like it's the aerial footage of it.
Yeah, we're not going to play that. Here we go. He told Fox News, "This means pretty much anyone can come in."
Hold on, scroll down, dude.
A little more. Stop. Right there. He told Fox News, "This means pretty much anyone can come in, and this has resulted in at least 4 cartels settling up operations at this site." Harris offers the land through development company Toronto's, right? Did I say that right? Toronto's Houston, using Spanish language marketing. Currently, the settlement is estimated to be around 60 square miles in size and homes up to 75,000 people. It is unclear how many of those are illegal immigrants. While the initial payment is relatively cheap, borrowers then face interest rates of up to 10% and more. Benson added that the expansion has been going on under the radar for the last, 10 years?
Yeah.
He said it is probably thousands and thousands of acres under development right now. I'm guessing that they expect to be able to sell to a lot of the folks that are coming over right now. Baron Lane Harris attorney, or Brent Lane, God man, I can't read today, said the allegations were slanderous and unsubstantiated.
What allegations, though?
Yeah, no, I haven't.
Sorry, interrupting.
I didn't.
I'm having a hard time following what they're trying to do here.
Oh, did I miss something?
No, you're hitting it all. I'm just they haven't laid out what the
What's illegal here?
What is illegal, what allegations are being levied against him.
I think they're still trying to go back to the background checks. How he's just selling it to illegal immigrants coming across the border.
Yeah. See. Yeah. I mean, let's finish this article, but I'm just
okay.
I'm confused at what's going on here.
All right. Let's finish it and we'll talk about it. A statement on behalf of the company said, "The safety of our communities is our foremost goal, and all the subdivision plots, roads, and other infrastructure are built to code and approved by county engineering teams."
Pause. Hold on. So he's saying plots, roads, and other infrastructure are built to code and approved by county. Which is interesting, though, because there is another article that I've read where they are not meeting code. Like indoor plumbing is not even set up yet. It is very unsanitary. There are some houses that are complete, but there's others where it's just tents on properties, or they're like half-built trailers or stuff like that, where there's no running water, there's no power to it.
I heard that too, actually.
So I'm like I said, this article is just kind of confusing me on what's going on.
Okay. Our developments have put the American dream of home ownership within reach for tens of thousands of middle and working class Texas families. In addition to these homes, we are also proud of our efforts to improve local infrastructure and bring businesses to the area, as well as our work with local public and charter schools to improve education for our residents, children, and our work with local law enforcement to enhance public safety.
That's what it is. That's what the allegations are. He's saying they're making the allegations that he's taking advantage or moving immigrants in, and he's saying, no, I'm trying to develop this property in order for middle-class Americans. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. Now it comes clear.
Okay. The recent PR campaign against our company is based on lies fed to the media by rival land developers. These unsubstantiated accusations are defamatory and slanders and will be treated as such.
Okay. And that's pretty much the end of the article.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's
break it down for us.
There's two ways to look at this, right? So let's say that he is actually trying to develop this property for American middle class families to grow in and creating a strong, healthy community.
Yeah,
great. That's all well and good, but there are two things can be true at once. He can be trying to do that, but at the same time recognizing that there are immigrant families, because a lot of people make the misconception that when these immigrants are coming into the country illegally, that they're poor and they have no money.
Yeah.
But they don't realize that a lot of times in order to do border crossings and stuff like that, they're paying cartels lots of money in order just to get them into the country. So they're not broke per se.
Yeah.
So they could actually go and put these cash down payments on these plots of land and trying to develop them themselves. So two things can be true at once.
Yeah.
So he's coming at it like, well, no, that's not my intention. This is my intention for this. But the other people are be like, well, that might be your intention, but this is what's actually going on. Interesting. I mean, but if the cartels are coming in and stuff like that, that's not good. Yeah, but I mean,
there's no laws saying that, hey, because if they discriminate against that, group of people coming in, then it's discrimination, which I understand. It's just going to suck if, more cartel here.
The issue with the illegal immigration that's going on is the fact that there's half the country believes that we really should have no borders. Anyone should be allowed to move in for any reason whatsoever, right? That they aren't breaking no laws by being here. And the unfortunate fact is there are laws on the books where you cannot come into the country illegally.
Exactly.
So you are breaking the law. There's a huge misconception that they're not breaking any laws. They broke a law just entering the country without going through the proper channels. Now that opens up this goes into again the kind of the issues that we have in the United States, like with adoption or with immigration and stuff like that. Our laws are a little bit antiquated for the times.
Yep.
So, is there a need for immigration? Definitely. Every country needs to have some sort of immigration happening, especially when you're like the United States or most Western countries at this time, where there is a huge move for population control, right? Women are getting abortions or not having children, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Typically, if you look at it on a left-right basis, the left is not having children while the right is having children. But overall, our country is, I think we're at like 1.9 children per marriage, something like that.
1.9.
Yeah, if you factor it out, it ends up. So we're less than replenishment rates.
I was just picturing like one kid and only like 9/10 of another one.
Yeah, right. So we have an issue there, which does mean that we do need to, in order to continue with our societal programs that we have going on, we do need to bring people in. However, it can't go unchecked, right? So the problem is we've gotten to the point where we're speaking in absolutes.
Oh,
right.
yeah.
No immigration versus whatever.
All the immigration.
Right. And in all reality, I don't even think there is a large population that actually says no immigration. It's no illegal immigration, which is a completely different story. But our laws are a little bit antiquated on this. And just because the other issue that I kind of have with this is they're saying, oh, there's 4 cartels working there. Well, those cartels are already working in the United States in other areas.
That's what I was just about to say, dude. They're all over the damn place.
So, like, if you're really worried about that, then we need to do a better job. Yeah, I know. Sorry, you got flies in here today. It's fly season, man. Yeah. What do you expect? If we want to actually control, like, the cartels and bringing in drugs and human trafficking and everything like that, we need to actually enforce the laws that we have on books, right? So Border Patrol needs to be able to do their job. DEA needs to be able to do their job. ICE needs to be able to do their job. Yeah. FBI could probably go bye-bye because they're useless at this point.
I was going to say they're...
Take the field agents, the actual good people that are in there, and roll them into other areas, and then all those back office intelligence people, just get rid of them.
Right.
Like, just stop it.
Who was it that said they want to get rid of the FBI? Was that JFK Jr.?
Ramaswamy.
Him too, I think.
Yeah, Ramaswamy's whole thing is abolish the FBI. And when I say abolish the FBI, he wants to get rid of the FBI Foundation, but he actually wants to take the people that are specialized in certain things, the agents,
the ones that are worth a damn,
and move them into other departments that are more focused on just doing that, like DEA. Like, take the FBI agents that are doing like drug enforcement and get them into the DEA. The U.S. Marshals would be another really good one to move them into. So there's things that we can do. The issue, like with the FBI, is the FBI is becoming an intelligence agency, which is not what it was supposed to do. So at this point, it's not living up to its duty. So just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Take the good ones and put them in there to support other areas that can cover the gap that getting rid of the FBI would do.
Fair enough.
Get rid of the IRS. That's another really good one.
Oh God.
So actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to go off topic a little bit off immigration. So IRS, right? So they hired 82,000 agents or people to do the IRS, basically. And the reason they're doing that is to go after the rich people.
Not right? Like your air quotes.
Yeah, because they're not. I mean,
no, hell no.
Those people are going to be tasked with going after middle Americans because the government wants to take all of our money, right? Money. So, and I can't remember what I was watching, but it broke it down really well, where it was actually talking about like tax collection from the people going to the federal government, and the federal government going back and giving it to these people, to these businesses, like insurance, right, for health. And so they're getting stipends from the federal government and then still forcing you to pay. So they're just basically double dipping.
Yeah, dude,
right?
That's what I was just about to say. Literally, it's like they get their taxes. They get their money, dude. Like literally a third of our money goes to them. So Jesus.
What I'm trying to say is, people are always saying, well, we can't live in this world because everything's so expensive. We need to give more money to the government so the government can give us things. And it's just like, okay, stop. If you were to stop giving your money to the government and actually take that, you would actually be more wealthy.
Yeah.
Right? Because the government doesn't care about you. You care about you. You care about you and your family.
Mm-hmm.
So the government, you can go ahead and give 50% of your check or what you make, which we all do, whether it be through income tax, whether it be through sales tax, whether it be through property tax, whatever. On average, it's about 45 to 50% of all your earnings are going to the government.
That's insane.
So with that being said, stop giving that, right? So let's say you make $100,000 a year. $45,000 to $50,000 you are giving to the government in one way, shape, or form.
And
whether
they
that
send
be
it to
income,
Ukraine.
and then then they say, "Oh, well, we don't care about Americans because they don't care about us.
No.
We're going to go ahead and fuel the war in Ukraine because then all of a sudden all the companies that are making weapons and stuff that are getting there are getting kickbacks and all the money, right? So all it is a pyramid scheme where we're giving money to the government and the government's just like, oh, we're going to enrich ourselves through our contracts, through our lobbyists, so yeah, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent, but it falls in line with the abolishment of the FBI. We need to actually get to the point where we're either doing a flat tax in order just to cover the bare minimums, infrastructure, roadways, bridges, stuff like that, defense of the nation, so paying our military, VA benefits, stuff like that, and then facilitating interstate commerce and overseas commerce. And then judiciary. That's it. That's all we need to really fund as taxpayers. Because once we do that and the government leaves us the hell alone, we can figure everything else out ourselves, right? So a lot of people don't want to do that because they're on entitlements. They're just thinking, well, if the government stops giving us money, we're not going to have anything. Well, no. You're actually going to have more because now you're not paying so much in taxes. You're actually going to get more.
Yeah, but then that means they have to do something. Those people that just live off of the system and shit like that. If you cut all that out, then they're screwed.
But the percentage of people that actually only live off the system is actually very low. A lot of people are just getting added benefits because they're struggling, right? Mm-hmm. And if we stopped making them pay taxes, then the amount of taxes that they would save would actually be greater than the assistance that the government would do, right? Yeah. So there's a misconception that people that all people getting entitlements are taking advantage of the system. There's actually only a small percentage of that, right?
I know what I've seen, and it's like, dude, they give out so much for the people for like, it's insane. It's like, I don't know how much it is now, but at one point it's like, I had a friend who was getting $1,000, $1,200 in food stamps. Yeah. It's like how much do you eat, dude? Like, cook a meal or something.
Yeah, right.
I
mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. There are anecdotal situations like that do happen, right? Where, there was at one point, maybe it was 2 years ago, I was reading an article where they were doing studies of like a middle class family of four that was making like $60,000 total household, excuse me, income. Mm-hmm. And comparing what they were able to afford and buy and purchase food-wise, cell phone-wise, and everything like that, and then comparing it to someone who was on welfare, food stamps, and a few other of the entitlement programs. And the entitlement programs, actually, the people on that actually did live a better life. But like I said, that's not all entitlement receivers, right?
Yeah.
So
do you think that, like, when it comes to that kind of stuff, like, it should be a case-by-case basis to determine their eligibility for benefits, or just like how they have it now where, okay, they fill out the form and if you land in this bracket, this is what you get?
My thought is I'd like to get rid of all of it altogether.
God, this is why I love you.
And not because I don't feel for these people, but because the federal government cannot maintain it, right?
No, exactly.
So
you're hurting everybody else.
So what I would rather do is get rid of all the federal subsidized programs and put it back to my thought is if taxes are to be paid, they should be paid at the local level, and then a percentage of that revenue goes up to the state level or to the county level or whatever kind of level, and it kind of filters up. Right, so that way your tax dollars are paying for what's going on in your area specifically, and from there, if let's say a city in Idaho, that's where you live, or the county, however you want to bring it up. Let's say it's the county level is the bare minimum. That's the one that collects taxes. So let's say our county collects taxes on us. Okay, we pay 7% of our income tax to the county level, right? And then the county says, okay, this is how much we're expected to receive based on everyone's income, blah, blah, blah. They pay a percentage up to the state. What the county can do then is maintain the roads or an infrastructure there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that'd be the first line. Excess. Now they can start saying, okay, now we can institute benefits, but because we're having to keep a balanced budget, we can't run a surplus or anything like that. Yeah. We can actually set, hey, those actually need. It's like, oh, let's open a food shelter, whatever it is. Yeah. But it's done at a local level where the community knows where their money's actually going.
Right. And they can actually show and account for it.
And the reason how I kind of come up with this is actually based on like the Judeo-Christian values, like because religion used to fill this gap. The government never used to fill this gap. It was actually religion. But as the religion has declined in the United States and most Western countries, government has now started replacing that.
Good old big brother.
And that makes no sense to me, is the government doesn't care about you. At least the religious community, they cared about their community. Mm-hmm. The government doesn't care about you. The government just cares about power, right? Mm-hmm. So, like, take the Constitution of the United States. Everyone says the Constitution of the United States grants rights to the individual. That's not true. Mm-hmm. The Constitution is saying these rights are intrinsic to an individual, and we're going to set limitations on our government from infringing on them.
Yes.
That is the difference, and most people can't make that difference. They think that the government is granting them the ability to do things. No. You have the ability to do whatever. But because government likes power and likes to infringe on the individual, we're going to put safeguards in place to protect you from them.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into this stuff. Unfortunately, our education system doesn't teach these things. Most people don't have the time or the inclination to really go and learn these things.
Yeah, they're dumbing us down.
Because a dumb populace is easier to control. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Compare our our education system now compared to 50 years ago, 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it's just it seems like every generation, it just keeps getting lower and lower and lower and lower.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's just like, Jesus Christ, man, like where did we flip that switch and say, fuck it?
There's a few people that throughout our history in the United States, there's been a few people that actually did this. FDR was one of them. Yeah. FDR was a horrible president. Under him and then the Supreme Court that was with them at the time, the Commerce Clause really came into place, which actually ballooned the federal government. That is the whole mechanism why we have such an
that was the catalyst.
Yeah, that alone was the main reason why our federal government is so screwed up the way it is today. I can't remember the ruling on it, but it is.
I have to look that up.
But what basically they ended up doing is the reading in the Constitution for the Commerce Clause ended up granting the ability for the federal government to start taking percentages of money for cross selling interstate commerce.
Yeah, that was state.
Yeah, in between states. So that was one huge one. FDR was a garbage president. Yes, he did good. He led us through World War II. Don't get me wrong.
He had his good points.
He had his good points, but he had his bad points. Unfortunately, he's only remembered for his good points and never looked at for his bad points.
Fair.
And his bad points definitely outweigh his good. Abraham Lincoln was a really good indication as to the powers of the federal government as well, because when the Civil War was actually going on, he actually violated the Constitution quite a bit. So
checks out, but you're not going to hear about that.
No,
you know what I mean.
So as much as, again, like most people, there's the yin and yang. There's people that do good, and there's also people that do bad.
Yeah,
and typically those are rolled into one person.
Well,
we are all capable of great good. We're all capable of great evil.
Yes, we are.
How history judges us, kind of sometimes unfair, because like Bill Clinton actually did not a decent job. I mean, not a terrible job at president. Mm-hmm. There were some things that he screwed up on. Sure, didn't like him, but for the good that he did, he was kind of the Monica Lewinsky thing. Is I was gonna taint that presidency.
Yeah.
Right. So Was he a good person? No, he actually was kind of a dick, right? I mean, but as a president, he wasn't actually terrible.
That's what I heard. I mean, we were kids around that time,
Yeah.
but I've had conversations with my parents and other, people that I know that are older than me, and they said he was a decent president.
Yeah.
Just kind of got screwed over because of Monica.
Yeah.
Or that situation, not the actual individual, but the situation.
Like JFK was actually not a bad president. JFK, if he were around today, I would probably actually think he'd be in the Republican Party.
Maybe.
Just based on some of the policies and stuff that he did, that actually is more right wing nowadays than it was left wing.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because that kind of shows how America continually shifts to the left.
Yeah.
And I do believe it's hilarious when I get on like these Facebook arguments with people and they're just like, oh, America is just shifting to the right all the time. We're all right wing. And I'm just like, what are you talking about, bro? Like everything's shifting to the left. Even the Republicans today are
a little left.
The Republicans today are more in line with moderates like 20, 30, 40 years ago. Like, what are you talking about? Like everything's shifting to the left. But I will say there has been a pushback and things are starting to shift back to the right on some extremes, which isn't necessarily a good thing either. It goes back to the yin and yang. It goes back to the fire, right? We need to have a balance, and you can't just continually shift one way and not expect a return.
Yeah, you're gonna get pull and opposition from both sides.
So interesting. Should we go to the other article now?
Yeah. What's the next one?
Oh, excuse me.
Do. Oh, this is the Daily Wire version?
Yeah.
Let's see that. There we go. Daily Wire. What do you minus the agenda?
What are you doing, dude?
Now streaming. I think you're on the...
You're on the subscriber page.
Yeah.
Go ahead and switch us back to the main event tab, and we'll just talk about this one since I thought you already had it pulled up.
Pressure builds in Texas for Vegas.
Scroll. Go down to the third one down.
That one right there.
Yep.
There we go. Okay. Pressure builds in Texas for investigation into illegal immigrant enclave Colony Ridge. The second highest ranking official in Texas says he will call on the governor to announce a special legislative session to address Colony Ridge, a massive housing development north of Houston that has become a hub for illegal immigrants. All right, let's see. Texas Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, a Republican, said on Tuesday that he plans to ask Governor Greg Abbott to convene a special legislative session to address concerns about Colony Ridge, which may fear has become a strategic center for Mexican cartels to operate in the United States. That's a little different than the other article that we read.
This one's talking about what Texas is trying to do about it.
Yeah. Once I get a little more legal foundation on this to see what we can do, I am going to ask Governor Abbott to address some of these issues in a special session. Patrick said after he was asked about the Daily Wire's report on Colony Ridge by Texas radio host Michael Berry, we can't have an entire cities of people who are here illegally with basically no law enforcement. In some cases, I'm told no running water. Oh, this is what you were going into. Yeah. It's a very dangerous place to be. This is not what America was built on. This massive complex of people here illegally creating their own city north of Houston is just unacceptable. Patrick comments came after the Daily Wire report on Colony Ridge, a land development that sprawls across roughly 60 square miles and attracts illegal aliens with financing offer that does not require buyers to show proof of citizenship. Buyers are encouraged exclusively in Spanish to own land in the United States. Barry, the Texas radio host, told Patrick his listeners were clamoring for answers from elected leaders on Colony Ridge. I asked for listeners' input, and the number one question I got, 30 emails out of the 50 I got in 3 minutes. Colony Ridge, Barry said, this is a big issue. People are very concerned. It's been profiled nationally now. Patrick told Barry he was very aware of the problem at Colony Ridge after talking with law enforcement in the area. The call for action on Colony Ridge was echoed by Rep. Chip Roy, oh, he's he's something else, Republican of Texas, who told the Daily Wire he has already received additional information on the Colony Ridge development and that it's highly concerning.
Pause.
Go for it.
Okay, so I'm having a little bit of an issue with the framing on this one as well, and because they keep saying there's problems, but they're really not addressing any of the problems. Like, what are the problems here, guys? Like, if you want some support and you buy in, list the problems that you're seeing. The only problem that I've seen right now is like no running water. Okay, that is an issue because it creates an unsanitary and unhealthy place for people to live, right? But what is they brought up the encourage them in Spanish to own land in the United States, that they're not U.S. citizens. You don't have to be a U.S. citizen to own land in the United States. No. I'm not trying to be critical of them, but I'm list what the issues actually are so people can understand what you're trying to get at. But being these vague comments like very aware of the problems or it is highly concerning. What is highly concerning?
I think
I have my ideas of what's highly concerning, but from a legal standpoint, what are you guys trying to do here?
Yeah, I think they're trying to frame it as it's dangerous to the community to be selling to all these illegals because most of them coming across are somehow related to the cartel or involved with it somehow, but they're not even saying that.
They're not saying that.
So,
but at the same time, if that's what the concern is, why are we selling land to China?
Right. That's what I was just about to say.
So, I'm just asking for a little bit more clarity on
exactly.
Like, if you're guys, I respect what you're trying to say, but you're not being very transparent on what you're saying.
Yeah.
So you're leaving it up for a lot of interpretations, and unfortunately, there are holes in your thoughts. Like I'm sitting here addressing it. I'm not even very well versed on what's going on, and I can poke holes in it.
Thank you.
So we need this. This is the problem with our political class. It doesn't matter if it's Democrats.
Exactly.
These guys are Republicans. Our problem with our political class is they do not actually address the issues or put forth a clear message. Republicans are horrible at clear messaging, and this is a prime example of it.
Yep, that's what I was just about to say. It's not just Democrats; it's Republicans too. Like, you guys are crooked on both sides. Let's see. Can you scroll up a little, please? Or down? Sorry, my bad. My staff is pushing on the Department of Homeland Security and Texas Department of Public Safety to get us additional information on this. It's highly concerning, Roy said. I had a report given to me this morning. I'm not in a position to fully articulate exactly what's happening other than it is problematic and a continuation of these wide open border policies. And now you've got this, which is cropping up, and I believe more of those will be out there. It's literally what you just...
Yeah, right. He's very... it's problematic and a continuation. Okay, it is a continuation of the wide open border policies. We already know that is a huge issue, guys. But what is problematic with this? Other than the clear signs of an unsanitary and unhealthy living condition that could be happening there.
Yeah.
And that doesn't even mean that all of it is happening like that. It just could be that, hey, we're moving in and this is not fully ready to move in yet, right? That is a real possibility as well.
Okay.
So it's like they're jumping the gun, trying to make something out of nothing. Almost.
It looks like they're already trying to put stuff in people's heads.
Yeah. So I'm not disagreeing with the wide open border policies. Mm-hmm. Kamala Harris, being the point person on that, has failed horribly at her job. Mm-hmm. Biden's policies regarding the immigration. I mean, there's been more immigration under Biden's leadership than I think like the last 3 presidents combined or some crap like that. It's like stupid, right? It's stupid bad. Even Obama's immigration was not nearly this bad. They're trying to put something out there that they're not clearly defining what the actual issue is. Like, define the issue.
Yep.
I understand there's some parts of this that I'm seeing that might be an issue, but it has nothing to do with laws.
Well, yeah.
Because you can legally own land. So is it that you're coming into America and then buying land illegally? Mm-hmm. Like you came into America illegally and then bought land? Who cares? Like that's not the issue here. The issue at that point is you're still coming into America illegally. Not that you own land.
Yeah. No.
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, is that the? Let's see.
No, scroll down.
You got a little more.
Spencer Lindquist on X. Have you heard about America's largest illegal immigrant settlement? This is said to be a hub of cartel activity. I visited Colony Ridge for Real Daily Wire to learn about a development that's home to 40,000 to 75,000 people, and it is in the midst of a rapid expansion. Here's what I found. Okay, again, it's great that people are putting that this is happening out there, but what is the issue with this happening? That's what I'm trying to draw on.
Yeah.
Right.
It says the call for action appears to fall on Texas Governor Greg Abbott, whose office told the Daily Wire the potential wrongdoings of Colony Ridge were unacceptable, but also indicated that there wasn't any additional action to be taken. Right there, bam. The concerns raised about Colony Ridge are unacceptable, said Abbott spokesman Andrew Malaris, I think is how you say that. Before listing actions that Abbott has already taken, including they're deploying Department of Public Safety troopers to Colony Ridge to ensure that the safety of Texans and enforce law and order, and directing the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality to investigate any potential environmental issues, whether it be air, water, or land. Laris said Abbott requested the Attorney General's office to issue subpoenas to investigate any legal violations, while simultaneously pointing the Daily Wire to a recent article by the Center Square featuring claims by developer William Trey Harris and his attorney, Brent Lane, that no investigations or pending violations exist related to the development.
Okay, so everything that I've read about this is just talking about that the city's existing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have concerns with the plumbing being hooked up, sanitation conditions, right? But other than that, I have yet to hear read or hear a reasonable argument as to what the heck the problem is here. I'm not trying to defend what's going on. I'm just saying, like, if you want to continue saying that it's problematic and stuff like that, what are the issues? And you're not addressing them. And even the land developer is sitting back saying, like, we're not doing anything wrong.
Yeah.
So
we're just selling land.
Like it. So I would really love to know what the whole issue with this is. Is it because there are such a large illegal immigrants living in this area because Biden's failure to do it? If so, then why are we focusing on this city or area and not focusing on the failures of the Biden administration?
Right.
And the failures of actually, Abbott's actually doing a decent job with trying to secure his own border.
Didn't he just declare a state of emergency or invasion or something?
Well, he reiterated his statement or a state of emergency, right? So Texas, I think, has been on it for a little over a year, something like that, maybe. Something like that. I can't remember.
But now, I saw something where it's not just a state of emergency anymore. It's like he actually said invasion, or it's being labeled as an invasion now.
Well, theoretically, so I can't remember who I was watching, but this was actually a really decent conversation. So it used to be back in olden times where an invasion would happen with just a mass migration of people into an area, and they set up shop and they kind of just take over. Right? Yeah. It doesn't have to have swords or spears or guns. Right?
Violence.
An invasion just means that there is a large movement of people into an area that is messing up the status quo per se. Okay. Which is not bad. Which is why there's laws on immigration and how that actually done. That means our laws should probably be updated a little bit and make it a little easier.
Maybe enforced.
Enforced, right? But just because these people are coming across the border with no weapons doesn't mean it's not an invasion. Mm-hmm. It still technically is an invasion. I get that argument because there's two ways to conquer a territory or your neighbor, right? Which is one is you can arm your populace and send them to fight and pillage and take over, right? The other thing is just have your people pick up shop and start moving into it and encroaching, and eventually it's going to get taken over.
Yeah, if other people move or whatever.
So it's interesting. But you know what? So if I remember right, it was New York Times that actually came out with this article that was talking about the perks of illegal immigration and the benefits of keeping Democrats in power for the next 20 years. And this was like an article written like 10 or so years ago. and it was actually talking about Democrats' plan to supplant the population because firstborn citizens of illegal or of immigrants typically tend to vote left.
Yeah.
But I think that what we're seeing is it's actually backfiring because a lot of immigrants that are coming in, like Cuban immigrants down, specifically down like in Florida, one of the main reasons Florida went as red as it did was because of these immigrants from Cuba fleeing communism actually is recognizing what's going on in the States, and they're just like, hold on.
Yeah.
Democrats, you guys are trying to walk us down the path that we just fled from.
Yeah.
Nope. Right? And then that can be said with a lot of South American migrants. So that can be said with a lot of Venezuela being one of them, right? So these people are seeing the remnants. They hear the stories from their grandparents and their parents and whatnot, and they're seeing it, and they're saying, hey, the left is trying to do this to us. So I think it's actually backfiring because if you look at polling right now, between so if we break down the American citizens into by race, which I absolutely hate doing. I hate polling when they do this. Is saying, oh, the black community is doing this and the Hispanic community because they're Americans, right? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well,
it shouldn't anyways.
It shouldn't, right? But the left, we all know, is the racist people that they are. They care more about what you look like than what you actually feel or what you actually have to contribute to society.
Facts.
So, but they break down these polls. So like the black community, black men specifically, are leaning heavily more towards Trump than Biden in this upcoming election.
Because if you don't vote for him, you're not black.
Yeah, that racist pile of crap. Hispanics actually broke heavily for Trump in 2020, and the polling indicates right now that they are. But that actually makes sense though, because in communities that are historically the culture that the black people grow up in, they're more conservative culturally than most people really realize.
Yeah.
Same with Hispanics; they're very devout, religious people. So like there's these communities, while they're very diverse in themselves, they have different ideas. Culturally, they're not dissimilar than like a white evangelical, right? They have a lot of the same cultural upbringings where they have a lot of faith and tie to their community. With that being said, it actually makes sense that they are starting to look at the Democrat Party and be like, well, you guys no longer align with us, like in our cultural endeavors. Where the parties used to align, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it does make sense that the polling does indicate that there's more support for Trump. Foot. Yeah. Yeah. Well, because, I mean, you can't constantly push woke agenda onto people and expect everyone to just buy into it.
Keep eating it.
It's like, dude, people are tolerable of things, but stop trying to cram things down our throat.
Yeah. None of us appreciate it.
Yeah. So, we can skip the rest of it because
it's the same thing.
It's basically going over the exact same thing, and it's just vague concerns, problematic issues. But what are they doing? A very poor job of reporting what we actually are looking for here, guys.
You guys go read the rest of the article if you guys want to.
Yeah,
but that's our thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking those articles were
Just waiting for the noise.
Yeah, took a second for that one, but yeah, I mean, it was a car crash. I mean, you guys did nothing to explain what's actually going on. Just problematic concerns. Like, yeah, put out a little bit more information. Thanks for letting us know that this is going on. That there's a lot of immigrants piling into these areas. But what issues should we actually be paying attention to?
That's probably what all it is. It's just a distraction.
It kind of seems that way a little bit. So, got anything else, sir?
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
Take the row.
You guys have a good one.
Thank you for watching. Please give us a like, share, and subscribe. Till then, peace.